Hi, this is Zach here with the Bulletin Board Heroes here at Zach's Traders Cafe for Wednesday, the 12th of November. Starting off with the FTSE 100, which is carefully ensconced at the top or above, actually, the top of that rising trend channel from June. So let's call that 98.80. Above that on an end of day close basis, but a best case scenario target up to the steeper October rising trend channel there as high as 10,100. I suppose that makes for a decent Christmas rally, festive season, end of year target there. On the downside, below 98.60, then we've got the risk of having to test the floor of the October channel there. That's currently around 97.40, which even then would not be a bad thing to happen. The old resistance there, I suppose, towards the 97 70, 80 area, so that would tie in with that. In fact, the peak there, 97.87 on the 29th of October. So looking for a dip towards the 9800 zone, but above that still could get up to 10,100. Onto the DAX, and here looks like it's playing catch up and gapping through that resistance line there was drawn from the beginning of October. You can see that actually we managed to break the line on the close yesterday, or before the close yesterday, so one could have bought quite happily around 24,050 and had all the upside of today's move. We've been looking for a retest of the record levels towards 24,800, and that's what we're expecting in coming days, while we're above yesterday's resistance, 24,100. Worst case at the moment would be a test of the floor of the rising April trend channel. That's just around the 50-day moving average of basically 24,000. Not expecting much lower than that. On to the Dow, and here I suppose we've been boosted by the end of the shutdown there. The top of the channel there, 48,400 now. So we're looking for that in coming days, and then after that, we've got to think of what the next level higher might be. At the moment, I suppose it was something like the line I'm drawing there, so towards 49,500, but maybe one can finesse that over the next few days. Just looks as though that could be an area, i.e., we accelerate in terms of the price action that we have at the moment. But 48,400 hopefully on the way, and we're looking for that while we're above the 50-day line, 46,480. We had an RSI 50 rebound, which worked at the beginning of the week. Onto the cryptos, which have not been as sort of healthy as the equities in the recent past. Here we're still towards the floor of that rising trend channel there from back in December. Still below RSI 50 on Bitcoin as well, so need to break recent resistance around 107. Above that, looking for 110 or 111 on the 50-day moving average. If you are cautious, then you'd be looking for an end-of-day close for the RSI above neutral 50 to give us a new leg to the upside. Moving along to Ethereum, and here you'll see that still around the 200-day moving average. That's around 34.80. Above that, looking for the 50-day line, 39.64. But you can see that in recent days, the market has seen that 200-day moving average, which is rising, and that is a positive. The only thing we're waiting for at the moment, really, in terms of the big signal there, would be a break of that July resistance line there in the RSI window at 47, so we're still a bit below that. On the downside, the worst case would be the floor of that falling August trend channel, 30, around the 30.40 area. Next on the list is gold, and here you can see that we've got the market pushing higher now. We've broken recent resistance around 40.50. Above that, we were looking for 41.60, and an end of day close above that. We should be hopefully back in business in terms of hitting that November resistance line there. That's heading for 4600. That makes for a best case scenario target end of year for this market, but I suppose more realistically, we're just looking for a retest of the best levels, 43.80, etc., that we saw last month. On the downside, the worst case is the 50-day line, 39.15. Moving on to the stocks, and star of the show after its raise announced today is ACG Metals. The raise was around £10.80, but we're still well above that. Rising trend channel, which I drew a few days ago, top of the channel there, heading for the £14 level. And that's what we're looking for, perhaps as soon as the end of January, while we remain above the floor of the channel there. And the 50-day line, but it's basically staying on the right side of £10, but finessing that with £10.60 for this market. See from the news there that the funding there for Dedic Tepe has been successful, and the company has raised, I believe, $15 million, which is obviously a decent thing to do in this market. Moving along to the next situation, which is Avacta, and here we are actually looking at the charts, not the news, and you'll see that from the chart we're still edging up there. Got support there at 70 pence. Above that, looking for top of the channel there from back in June as high as 90 pence, and looking for that by the end of next month. Worst case, we've got to have another sub 70 pence probe, but at the moment it doesn't look like the market needs that. The main thing now is a definitive move through 75 pence. Moving along to the situation at Artemis, and here we can see that we got the shares trying to make a beeline for the top of that broadening triangle there from last November. That's up to 0.65. In fact, we're already dreaming and thinking of the next level up there, which would be up to 0.75, given how strong the turnaround has been in the recent past. Looking for that by the end of next month, by the end of the year. There is a pull to the downside, not expecting anything lower than the 50-day line. That's way down at 0.41, but really expecting this to stay on the right side of 0.5 pence after the RSI 50 rebound that we've had in the last week. Next on the list is a stock which seems to be an interview every day with Blencowe. I'm just waiting for my turn now, really, but here we've had the third target hit at just under 8 pence, 7.95 pence, and above that we've been looking for rather ambitious new leg to the upside up to 11 pence, and looking for that by the end of next month. If we really like it, it'll be by the end of this month, but you can see that we are backed by an uptrend line in the RSI window, and obviously the situation here is that new support is becoming above old resistance, so it looks as though the shares are finally stretching their legs. On to Catenai, where I see somebody is tweeting about the stock every 15 seconds, but here you can see that we've had a bull trap through 0.6 pence, hoping that support will come in at or above the old late October peak 0.47. If we can do that, then we would be looking for another attempt at breaking through or holding 0.6 pence and then retesting April resistance. Worst case at the moment is we'll retest or test the 50-day line at 0.37, 0.38, but hopefully the shares will manage to avoid that. RSI is still above neutral 50, so that is a hint that we can stay on the right side of 0.4 or 0.45 even. On to Imperium, which has failed hundreds of times, still disappointed hundreds of times, but maybe this is the time when it won't disappoint. Up another 25% today, heading for the top of the range and the top of that rising trend channel, 0.17. Above that, we're looking for, I suppose, quite a big target there. So the last big peak there for the shares was in the low 30s, and barring disasters or disappointments, which the company does actually seem to excel in, then that could be the target for the end of the year by the end of next month. Ideally, now we stay above, and I think I said it yesterday, we stay above August resistance at 0.12. That's really the acid test in terms of working out with this time. It's not 2 or 3 days and then a sell-off for the shares. Next on the list is Fragrant Prosperity, and here you can see that we had a TR1 today with some brave person on the list at 3%. You can see that we're through the 200-day line, we're rising 200 and 50 moving averages, which is a plus because it means we're in the run-up to a golden cross. Golden cross tends to be the strongest part of the cycle. We also had 2 RSI 50 rebounds now, which is double good news. Initial minimum here, hopefully by the end of this month, would be up to a penny. By the end of next month, the end of the year, up to the main 1.4 pence resistance area. But difficult to believe that with all the TR1s that we've had in there over the recent past, that there's not going to be some kind of announcement regarding the company in terms of M&A, etc. Stop loss on the whole dream there, the 50-day moving average at 0.7. So an end of day close back below that would probably suggest we have to look elsewhere for our excitement. On to Firering, which I think finally with today's news of the $1 million debt settlement, it looks like the shares are finally on their way. Obviously that took its toll, or something's been taking its toll on the share price since the turn of the year. Now it looks like we're in a rising trend channel base, potentially heading up to 2 3/4 pence by the end of next month. while we're above the 50-day line there at 1.8 pence. Ideally, we stay above 1.6 pence on the floor of the channel, whatever happens on firing. On to Orcadian, where one I suppose shudders at the thought of what Ed Miliband is doing in the North Sea, or rather not doing in the North Sea. Here we've got, it looks like a new the shares ready for a new leg to the upside, a little hook to the upside. Our initial target here, 16 pence. Above that, we're looking for rather crazily ambitious 33 pence, maybe not by the end of next month, but in the short term, and looking for a significant upside while we're above the latest support there at 13 pence. We already had a golden cross actually at the end of last week, so this is actually a surprisingly strong situation. So let's see the technicals deliver for the stock. On to TAP Global, where as the shares are well away from the 3 pence selling zone, which keeps coming in at 3 pence, so I hope he stops soon, he or she stops soon. But at the moment, we've got a reasonable setup. We've bounced above the falling 200-day lines, which is actually a show of strength, and we are pushing through. We pushed through the sharply rising 50-day moving average. So let's see if this time we can get up to 3.5 pence, and the seller, whether the seller is finally out. I doubt that person is out, but we can get through 3.5. The next level up is 5.5, which would make for a nice Christmas time target for the shares. Volex, not normally the type of stock I look at, but we have a bit of excitement here. We've pushed through resistance, and I think we have risen with the, I suppose, the appointment of a non-executive chair and CEO, so the company looking chipper at the moment. Let's see if we can get up to the top of the channel there as high as £5 by the end of next month. I think the market cap of the company pretty chunky, so this is a company which hopefully will have some momentum. That's it for me today. More updates tomorrow.